welcome to a very special live that I have today. I signed up to be an ally and share the microphone in Minnesota to support the Share the Mic mission, which is allowing Black and Brown women to share their stories. I am really, really excited for my guest today. Her name is Adrianna Williams, and she's in right now. And I can't wait to talk to her, and I can't wait for everyone to be with her right now. Hello, everybody. And this is going to be fun. And Adrianna.
Hello.
Look at you. Beautiful.
Oh, look at you. You look beautiful as well.
I told you that when I take showers, I look pretty. When I don't take showers, I don't look pretty.
You are a mess.
How are you, sweetie?
I am really wonderful. I am like extremely excited to have this time. Thank you for being so gracious and sharing my story and allowing people to learn more about Adrianna Williams, right? And also Mind the Crown. So I appreciate you for this experience.
Oh my God, Adrianna, I when I heard about this project, I got very excited because I am a person that believes in inclusive, in diversity. I am also Latina. I live in Minnesota. And I know how hard it is to be different. Yes. But in my account, everybody's welcome, and in my life too. And you are a beautiful person. I enjoyed talking to you the other day.
I enjoyed talking to you today too. We're becoming besties.
We are. We already besties.
You know? So
Adrianna, so why don't you, before we start into what we wanted to talk about, the café con leche, well, first of all, why don't you say why we call this live café con leche?
Well, we were talking, right? Yes. And so when we had a conversation, Vanessa and myself, we understood that we had some similarities, right? With her coming from Venezuela. And then we talked a little bit about, when I was in Cuba, what my experience was in Cuba. She shared what it was in Venezuela. And then I was like, okay, we got like a different kind of flair. And it's like, we're like the ebony and ivory kind of, right? And so then I was like, and when I wake up in the morning, everybody knows Mind the Crown, the red bottom cup, right? So every morning I do the Mind the Crown, red bottom cup, literally, because it makes my morning vibe better. So then we say, hey, what about we call it Café con Leche?
Café con leche.
That is dope. That is different, and that explains who we are.
Yes, we are blending our cultures together beautifully. And that's all about this, to share stories and blend cultures. And I want to drop off the mic to you so you can talk a little bit of everything that you do.
Well, I call myself, as you can see, the crown specialist, and you probably saw that earlier today. Yes. And I started a company November 23rd, and I'm really not even going to call it a company. I'm going to call it my love language. And one of the things that I thought that was extremely important, we were going through so much. We had the injustices that were happening. We were being called everything but the child of God as a person that was Black in America. And then, living in Minnesota with the murder of George Floyd, that, really hit home for a lot of us, not only in Minnesota, but across the world. And then COVID hitting, right? Yeah. Now you can't see your family and friends, and your girlfriend.
And your girlfriend, I know.
Right? So, it is a lot. So then I said to myself, what can I do, right? And so one of the things I thought about is Mind the Crown, right? Like if my crown is no good, then I'm no good for anybody else. What can I do with Love Bug, right? Everybody knows on Mind the Crown who Love Bug is, right? He is my fashion model, but he is my forever, right? So with Love Bug, what can I do to make sure he's good? What can I do with my adult son, right? That's a father and a husband. What can I do to mind his crown? What can I do to mind the rest of my children's, my girlfriends, and also the kids' crowns? Because everything that they hear, they internalize, right? So it was really important for me to make sure that we were making sure they were straight. So it's really about minding each other's crown. And Vanessa, one of the things I also want to say, although I said that I started it for all these different reasons, Mind the Crown is for the human race. It's not for a particular group. Because I don't know about you. We got some moms and dads that are doing some homeschooling right now. And somebody needs to mind the relationship crown, right? And I have something for that. And, you know, so it's for every walk of life, right? You may have a single woman that's trying to navigate, and or just a man that's saying, whoo, this is a lot of pressure. So it's for everyone. So I wanted to make sure I said that, because everybody has an opportunity to take care of themselves.
And you know what? I was also thinking while you were talking is that nowadays, after COVID hit, it's not about just us as a solo person. It's about us in the community that we live in.
That's right.
So I think our minds have changed a little bit. Instead of being so selfish like we used to be before, no, I'm just gonna do this because it's good for me. No, it's good for you, but it's also good for the others. If you don't wear a mask, you are also not protecting other people. You know what
Right.
I mean? So we gotta mind everyone's crown. I see it that way as
Yeah, we
well.
definitely do.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's what, although I showed you this, it's too late for me to have some cafe con leche. So I'm going to have
Yeah.
to go with my mind the crown.
I ordered one of those.
I see you did.
You
I
saw that?
love this because you know what? It's not just about the products, but it's a constant reminder. When I'm in a meeting and I'm stressed and I don't think I can get through it, my family members are just texting me to death right now. But when I have family members, when I'm at work and I may be stressed, or I'm like, can I really do this? You know, as women, sometimes we don't have confidence in ourselves that we are worthy at all
At
of,
all.
you know, of our space. And are we going to be heard? Are they going to value us, especially in corporate America? So I'm going to tell you, I look at this cup, and a couple of colleagues said that too. It does something for me. It reminds me to mind my crown. It is so essential to make sure as women that we're okay.
Yes. I know. I love that. And, you know, Adriana, we were also going to talk about so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
And before we enter to the first subject that we decided to discuss, I just wanted to tell a little bit about, and you know this,
Mm-hmm.
about where I come from and the difference between my culture and your culture regarding uh, brown women and black and brown women. So in my country, Venezuela, for those of you who don't know, actually, I never grew up in a place where you felt like the racism was present.
Mm-hmm.
And the people, the black or brown people over there, we call them for in a lovely way, negrito, come here. Like, come here. But we
Mm-hmm.
call it negrito, and it's not seen as a bad insulting or anything. It's just seen as a cute way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, even you could say to someone, gordito, gordito is little chubby. So you call somebody, or maybe your loved one, hey, gordo, come here, gordito. Sit down with me and let's have lunch. And it's not being seen as an insult. So then when I moved here and I realized that I could not say those words because those words could be taken the wrong way, it was a pretty, cultural shock for me
Mm-hmm.
because as we were discussing, I was coming from my heart, from a good place, never from a bad place. So I had to, always be careful of how I say things because
Mm-hmm.
I never mean the other stuff. I always mean it from the good place. So being said that, and with what happened with Black Lives Matter and all of that, I heard a lot of people saying that no, it's not about Black Lives Matter. It's about all lives matter. And it's been really hard for me to explain them the reality. And I want you to explain that, please.
Yeah. And so one of the things that when people say Black Life Matters, they're not saying, hey, nobody else's life but a Black person's life matters. When we say Black Life Matters, it's really saying, hey, when you're looking at the grand scheme of things and everybody that you know, this group or that group, that their lives matter, but we need to put a point and a period to be able to say, hey, our lives matter, right? Like when you approach us, and you may approach somebody with mental illness, and maybe they have a knife in their hand, or maybe they just are wilding out and their family called for a wellness check, have a little care with us, because you know why? Our life matters. Black life matters as well, right? So all the different interactions that we have, we want our lives to matter. You know, even if we're in a community, a suburban community, and I've been living in a suburban community for almost 20 something years, that it's really essential and important that I want to make sure my grandson and everybody else, you know, if he has friends come over to visit, I want to make sure that he feels comfortable and no one is going to think that he's a suspect. But even if you did approach him, because he'll probably be big like my son was like almost 6 feet by the time he was in the 8th grade. And he is a Black male. So people thought he was older than what he really was. So I want to make sure that when my kids or my grandson's friends or whomever is navigating, that you consider his life just like anybody else's. So that's really what we're saying. We're not saying nobody else's life matters. We're saying, please also consider us with that same magnitude when it comes to our life.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I have had to explain that to other people, and sometimes they don't understand. And I'm glad that you are clarifying that. I think it's very important. And someone here saying well, it's historical. We as Black people weren't even considered full human
That's right.
being when the Constitution was made. And that's something that is also good that people know about that. I mean, it's
That
not
is the valid
it's
point.
not a movement that it just started when George Floyd thing happened, or not a movement. I mean, this is something that is coming from way back when.
Yeah. And, you
Right?
know, and going back to what that person just said about the Constitution, think about this, that, you know, it is, and you and I talked about this, the transition, right? And, you know, when you think about when we were slaves initially in America, that when slavery ended and we got our freedom, that we expected everybody to say, okay, this group of people that were slaves, all of a sudden there are equals. And so now everything is going to be good, and everybody's mindset and everything else is going to change. So when you are dealing with things like that, cultural and everything else, we've never really dealt with that change, right? And a lot of the things from Jim Crow and everything else were like 50 years ago. So it
Yeah.
is a lot of different things that come into play when it comes to Black Life Matters. But really, I think that the one thing that we need to always remember when we hear Black Life Matters, don't think it's a dig at anybody else. Just say, based on everything that's going out, they're like, hey, excuse me, Black Life Matter too. So that if we can
Right.
think
No,
about it that way.
and you were saying something, and it's something that really shocked me to hear, that you said that when you go to the grocery store, it's not the same when you are dressed up with a jogging suit that when you are all dressed up. That people don't look at you the same way. Is that for real? Is that
Yeah, that's
something
for
that
real.
happens?
And you know what? And also, and I'll even give you this story about a car dealership.
Mm.
Sometimes when you go, it's just an assumption that Black people don't have good credit. And so we may be hard to finance or waste your time. And so when I would go to a car dealership, and everybody knows I used to buy a car every 2 years, right?
Right.
And when I went in the dealership, I already had my financing. I had everything ready to go. All I needed to do is get help. I even knew the car I wanted, but I just wanted to see what this car looked like at this particular dealership. No one acknowledged me. No one asked me for any, like, can I help you, ma'am, or anything.
Wow.
And I waited 30 minutes to see if they would say anything to me. And so basically, before I left, I said, now, I asked for the manager. I said, let me tell you something. I buy cars on a regular basis and I have good credit. I already had my financing. I was ready to get the car today. Because you guys chose not to help me, I'm going to get my car somewhere else, which I did. But that is, you know, some of the things. Or when I go to a grocery store, why do I have to be in my professional attire to be respected? Why can't I have casual clothes on, right? And especially with COVID, who's getting dressed up to go anywhere anymore, right? We've
Exactly.
gotten real
Exactly.
casual. But if I'm looking a certain way, you're not going to treat me the same way. So then therefore, when I'm in certain circumstances, or even when I'm going to buy a car, I get dressed to go buy a car because I want you to take me seriously.
I cannot believe that this is something that is happening still. I mean,
Mhm.
I heard the stories. I mean, I'm not from here, and I heard the stories way back when Martin Luther King. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, and they said that they didn't allow you guys to be seated on a bus, and oh, maybe you guys needed to be seated differently.
Back
Uh,
because right, that's
right?
yeah, because you're expecting the mentality to change all of a sudden, and
Yeah.
no work has actually been put together in order to do that, right?
Hmm.
You think about it, say you had and this is not a good analogy, say you had a dog, right? And then you said, this is my dog, this is my baby, right? But it's still a dog. But then tomorrow they say, you know what, this dog has the same rights as you. This dog is going to be going to
No,
work.
no, no.
You're going to, this, that, and the other. It's not a good analogy, but then you have to change your mind frame to say, oh, this dog is a human being. Not a good analogy, but I can't think of a better one. So go with me on this one, everybody.
No. Woo! Yeah, that you gave me like goosebumps, and I just like I just cannot understand why people differentiate, and we're gonna go into that. But now that we're talking about uh, being I would say being discriminatory. Is that what you say? Discriminatory. Uh,
Mhm.
um, how do you feel about the term being an angry black woman?
You know what? I thank you for this question. And one of the things you led with at the beginning was about cultural, right? And one of the things as a Black woman, we and other groups are like this probably too. We speak with passion, right?
Como las latinas,
Yeah,
como las
like,
latinas.
hey, and we're boisterous and we got
Yes.
bass in our voice and we got all this expression going on, right? And so one of the things that, it may come across when we are saying something that we are passionate about something, that we are angry because you can even hear when I'm talking to you, boy, is my family gonna get it when I get off this live with all this texting they're doing. But all day, no text. But today, everybody want text.
Well, I
But
hope they're good texts.
they're
Good
good
text.
texts. But
Okay,
the
good.
thing about it is, with the angry Black woman,
Yeah.
we're going to speak with passion. We have something to say, but it does not mean that we're angry in the way that we deliver it. So I think it's really important to understand us from a cultural perspective. Listen to what we have to say, right? Because we want to be heard. And sometimes we are a little forceful in our conversation because we may be, our conversation may be negated. They may not be, that we not may not be heard. Somebody may think that we're dumb or we're stupid. So
And
then
it's
that's frustrating as well.
and it's the same thing that happens. It's very funny because we are very similar in the way that our cultures are. And that's where it blooms. She's saying, you don't sound angry, you sound passionate, honest, and inspiring. Don't hold back. And that's something, and it's beautiful. And that's something that happens to me here too, because I am like, what? And I move my hands, and I do this, and I do that. And people here in Minnesota, they sometimes they go like, oh, she's too much for me, or
Mm-hmm.
she sounds like a little bit of crazy. And no, it's not crazy. I speak from my heart, from my heart.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to say too, sometimes we come across as angry Black women because we have something to say, right?
Hmm.
And it may not be something that somebody wants to hear. And because we are saying and we're standing in our truth for what we have to say, and maybe that person doesn't want to hear it, it is now angry Black woman. And if you think through society as Black women, and all the way from when we first got here, it has Black women have had all these different negative connotations that went there with, has carried through even to 2022, well, 2021. And I'm sure it'll go 2022. So you have to remember the cultural, all those historical things that come with the perception of the angry Black woman. Because think about this, that you can be, say you're at a restaurant, right?
Hmm.
And you see a group of white women and they're laughing and they're kikiing, right? And they're having a great time. But you may see a group of Black women and they're laughing and they're kikiing because they're glad to be together too, but they may be a little louder, right? But it may be those stereotypes that, oh, look at them, they're ghetto, or they're this or they're that, because of that baggage that comes with sometimes being a Black woman that you have to carry in all your surroundings.
Wow. No, I am so happy that we're doing this, Adriana, because I want people to hear and to learn and to rewind in their brains all this information and maybe see things different
Yeah.
because it's a misconception of a lot of things. Part of like it's a misconception for not knowing too much or maybe reading the wrong things because there's a
Hmm.
lot of theories out there that
Yes,
that
it
people
is.
write about things that they don't even
Hmm.
know. So I'm really happy that we're doing this and going even further down. Um, how did George Floyd's
Hmm.
murder affected you?
You know, so many things were happening over, the last 10, 15 years, right? Every time you turn to Facebook or the news, it was something else. And after a while, when you see something enough, it just becomes everyday life, right?
Hmm.
It bothers you, but it doesn't bother you. But I think because COVID was going on, or COVID still is, but COVID was new to us, right? And so we had time to think. And then seeing that man sit there with that knee on his neck, screaming for his mother or crying out for his mother, made me feel helpless first. Because I said to myself, if I was there, would I have helped? And honestly, I can't say yes or no, right? Because one of the things that I realized, I hate, and this is why we say Black Lives Matters, that I know if I jump my happy hips over there, I may be killed too. And so this is where the allies come into play, where I feel like if an ally jumps in, then maybe that second thought goes with their life. So I felt one helpless that we can watch this man on TV take his last breath. It was nothing at all anybody could be doing to die in that manner, to die at all for whatever. I still don't know what the reason was. So I felt helpless at first. Then I felt rage, right? I felt a sense of rage. Okay, so all these years I have been going to work because I do have a day job. I have been going to work with my mask on my face. And the things that I think about all the time is I want them to see me as the most qualified person. And when they work with me, I am the best person because I said I never want to be seen as Black Adrianna in corporate America. And so I have worked 24 years to be that. And so I've always had to consider, okay, how am I carrying myself? Am I a high achiever? Am I working 100 to 150% more? Are these 60 hours that I'm working at making a difference? And when I talk, am I offending anybody? I even think about how my hair is going to look. Is it going to be corporate enough? I don't even do color for that very reason. So all these factors that I'm considering everybody else, and I'm wearing my mask on my face so I can navigate corporate America. But now I'm at a point where I can't hold it in. And all I can do is internally, I feel like I am running with scissors, yelling, and I can't take my mask off. So eventually I had to take my mask off because now I'm in the angry phase, right? But I still got to go to work and I still have to do it through COVID when I don't have my support network that I can come and hug and touch. So now I'm angry. So then I'm like, okay, how can I be part of the solution? What can we do that's different? And then that's when I made a conscious decision to take my mask off, stop being angry, stop being afraid, and now being fearless and courageous in my workplace and everywhere else to be able to share the story about we are worthy, we are royal, we can do anything we put our mind to. We are not less than at all. And so when I was able to take my mask off at work, I was able to introduce them to somebody else, right? Adrianna Williams, you better recognize who I am. And I'm no longer apologizing for being Black. And I'm no longer apologizing for being upset when Breonna Taylor gets killed in her house. Trayvon Martin gets killed because he's walking in a neighborhood and he's tall and he looks like a grown man and he has Skittles and iced tea. You know what I'm saying? Or Omar jogging, getting killed, or Sandra Bland being a little feisty, but hey, why are you stopping me? I wasn't doing anything. You know what I mean? I no longer was apologizing. And so I had to say to my colleagues, you saw all these murders happening before. Why now? Why does it matter now? Right? So in a way, I was mad. But in another way, I'm like, okay, Okay, so now you can be an ally and be part of the solution. So yeah, like you can see that when I when I think about this, and now we have to, March 8th is coming, and that's a trigger moment. And so now we're going to have to deal with all this over again. And it's a trigger moment. But the one thing, and I will say, that happened with George Floyd, it started people talking. It made us feel like people did not believe what we're saying. So now they believe what we're saying. Like you believe it now. So,
Yes.
okay, good. Now we could do something about it. So it started the conversation, not only amongst family members, challenging members of their family, but also in the workplace, that you can have honest and open conversations about people of color. What can we do for them? You know, because we are, Vanessa, let me tell you this. As a Black person, I am never looking for a handout. Trust that. What I'm asking for is representation and inclusion. I want a seat at the table. So I am not ever looking for a handout. Everybody that knows me, I'm not, and nor the Black people that I surround myself with. And mostly every Black person, we're not looking for a handout. You want to get what you've worked for. So this is what George Floyd has allowed us to have, is to take the shades off and allow Black people to be their authentic selves to the best of their ability in the workplace.
That's so beautiful. And I told you today when we spoke on the phone, like, I can listen to you forever. You are so wise. You have such an amazing way to express your thoughts so beautifully that I wish I could speak with you every day. And I wish you could have like, I think that you should have a podcast because you, no, for real, don't you guys? If you agree with me, hearts, put hearts. I think that you should have a podcast to talk about all of this because you will do amazing, amazing. And do you think that George Floyd really changed everything that you said? Do you think that there's a change over what happened now with you guys? Do you think
Yeah,
yes?
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's good.
I do
Podcast.
think,
Everybody wants a podcast. I told you, you got to do it.
and but the one thing I can say, George Floyd did change, and you know, and I just thought that this was, and I'm gonna have to say, God is a good guy because He allowed us to stand still for a minute, right? That's what COVID did, and if COVID probably wouldn't have happened, we would have never had an opportunity. George Floyd would have just been another headline.
Mm-hmm.
He would, but
Totally.
he touched the world, the whole world. He
Yeah.
touched the world, and it just made people say, okay, I'm going to get on the, I'm going to say this term wrong. So Vanessa, I mess up terms too. Get off the pot and piss. I think that's the term, right? So you know, you're either going to be part of the solution, or you're going to be over here saying, I'm an ally, I'm a this, but you're only an ally when you're in your home eating cookies and watching TV. So you're either going to get off the pot and piss, like people say, or you're going to be the change. And that's what George Floyd did. It basically, like Michael Jackson said, put that mirror in your face and allowed you to determine whether or not you wanted to do something about it.
Wow. And and going even further, I have one more question. What is one thing that you wish people didn't say?
Oh my God. Whoo! Do you guys got a notebook? Can we get the notebook out right now? All right. This is the one that I don't. Drum roll, please. Thank you. Thank you. I don't see color. I don't see color. I don't see color. Come on now. You see color. You see color. Like when you put your outfit together, you said this red shirt will match nicely with these black pants. You see color. So let's don't say you don't see color, right? It's okay if you see color, right? I'm black. I'm chocolate. I'm cool in my skin. I've been this color all my life, 53 years, right? I'm cool. And if I see a white person, okay, it's a white person, right? Okay. That is okay to acknowledge that that person is whatever color they are. The only thing that you want to do is not judge them based on their color, or maybe not treat them differently based on their color. That's the difference. So if you want to say, I don't see color, don't say that, because you see color, because unless you're colorblind, you match
But
the
who
clothes
says
up.
I don't see color?
A lot of
Dogs?
people.
I mean, that they don't real for real don't see color? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
understand that.
With a straight face. I don't see color. Right? Come on, sis. You see color. But so just say to yourself, Yeah, I know that we have different color. We're a different color, but I'm not going to judge you any differently based on your color. I'm going to treat you the same. I'm going to treat you human, right? Because when it all comes down to it, we're human. We all want respect. We all want to be treated fairly and equally. So please don't say you don't see color.
No, that's rude. I mean, people here are saying people that don't see color are part of the problem. That
Mm,
means they're consciously ignore injustice. And seeing color is okay. Acting like you don't is ignorant, ignoring our differences.
mm-hmm.
And it's true. By
Yeah.
saying you don't see color, you are ignoring the injustices and the racism people of color experience. Sorry for my messed up. I'm so nervous today because I don't want to mess up anything with Adrianna. I want Adrianna to be able to talk. And this is a very, very delicate and sensitive
It is.
subject. And I don't want to offend anybody because I come from the good place. My
Yeah.
heart is here for real. So if
And
I
sometimes we have to be, and somebody said, don't be nervous. Sometimes when we have to just allow that person to talk and assume that they're coming from a good place, right? We don't want to have people, especially our allies, at a point where they're so scared to move that it makes them in paralysis. And so we don't want to do that. So we have to assume they're coming from the right place. And if we see like, maybe that thing you shouldn't have said. Like I was in a meeting and going back to workplaces and diversity and inclusion. I was a meeting with a colleague and she was trying to come from a good place, but she had said, and then my brother or cousin or something, it was like in North Minneapolis, North Minneapolis where the crime is. It was kind of scary. And it was some kind of story that she was trying to say, a feel good moment. But then she went with North Minneapolis and we were talking about diversity and inclusion and we were talking about Black people. And for her to tie it in there, we were like, okay, sis, you just negate exactly what you're going to say, but we're not going to call you out at this meeting. Somebody just needs to pull you to the side because you may not have any clue. Or being like at my workplace, had my hair pulled, touched,
right.
everything. Why are you touching my hair? Don't touch my hair. That's another thing. Black women don't want their hair touched. This is another tip. Please don't touch our hair. We know that we do a lot with our hair because our hair, and this is why when I say mind the crown, you will see this is what I have. I had my head wrap on, my red head wrap, because to me, this is my crown. My hair is my crown. And so I'm minding my crown instead of the physical crown like this. So Black women consider this their crowns, their hair. So don't touch their hair. You can definitely ask them questions, but to us, it's truly disrespectful if you touch our hair. That is something, but I will get people freely in the workplace that will touch my hair without permission.
Well, I didn't know that. That's something that I'm learning too. And
Yeah.
this is wonderful. And no, seriously, Adriana, I enjoy so much talking to you that once again, and people agree with me, you have to have your podcast. You should open a room on Clubhouse, like we were discussing today, and start conversations about this because people need to know. People need to listen. People need to understand. Sometimes they say whatever because they don't understand where you guys are coming from.
Yeah.
And you guys are the best ones to explain why things are the way they are.
Mm-hmm. And I can't say I speak for every Black person in America, right? But this
Mhm.
is one of the things throughout, and one of the things I said to Vanessa, I live in the suburbs, right? And so my experiences are slightly different. I've had some of the privileges, quote unquote. I'm living the American dream, right? But the thing about it, although I have the house, the car, the job, or I should say the career, and I'm pretty happy, and I got love bug and I got my girls and my son, right? And now I have a beautiful grandson and get ready to have a beautiful granddaughter. I have all these things that America says is what you want is successful. But yet still on all those accolades that I'm saying to you and all these things that I have, I am still first judged by the color of my skin. So this is where we have an opportunity. I'm going to say to our allies, what can you do as an ally to make sure that we're in an inclusive environment? The first thing would be is when you see things or hear somebody say something that maybe Maybe they were in a good place, but maybe they weren't in a good place, right? Check them on it. Have a conversation, educate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to understand when we say Black life matters and you're still saying all life matters, well, then you know what? Educate yourself. You know, because one of the things I love about someone that's in my company, she says it's not the job of Black people to educate people. It is the job of us to educate ourselves so we can make this environment easier for you to navigate. And that is true. We can Google everything else. You can Google this as well and educate yourself. And then also think about when you are dealing with someone, are you carrying biases? And so when you think about a bias, you know, when we interact with each other, like Mariah Carey back in the day, so many people were trying to figure out what Mariah Carey was. And so because they needed to know that, to know how do I interact with her? And so when we meet with people, we're like, okay, are they a different race? Are they a man or a woman? Are they gay, straight, whatever, right? You're dealing with all those different things. But then if you sit there and you say, okay, do all these factors matter for the conversation that I need to have with them? The thing that I do have in common is they're human. Mm-hmm. We're not all the same type of people. So let's meet each other on the human aspect and see how we can navigate, because 9 times out of 10, we got a lot of commonality and then differences. But if you go with those preconceived notions, we're never going to get to a point of an inclusive group.
You couldn't say it better. You are amazing, and I am really happy that you are going to be on my Instagram forever. This live is gonna stay on my feed forever. And I think that if you know people that they don't understand what Black Lives Matter and how, you know, the difficulties that Black women and brown women are having, it's good that you listen to this, share this, explain to them. Listen to Adrianna. I am just here as a speaker to let you have the microphone and speak to everyone. I am so happy that I met you, and I am so happy that we're friends. Yes. And I am so happy that you are going to be on my Instagram with this wonderful message.
You know what I'm happy about, Vanessa? I'm happy that when I get up in the morning, I'm going to get me a good cafe con leche. Because remember I told you that when I was in Cuba, I had cafe con leche, right? And it was delicious, right? And so now, since I talked to you on Sunday, all I'm thinking about is how
cafe con leche. And hopefully when things get calmer here and the weather gets better, we can meet in person and we can have a cafe con leche at Starbucks or maybe at my house. I can make you one.
Starbucks. We have to find a real place, right? Like once you've had a real one, like I was drinking them every day in Cuba, right? So when you
I'll make you one. Yes. I'll make you one.
Oh my goodness.
I'll make you one from Venezuela, and I'll make you arepas, and I'll make you some of my culture. I will share my culture with you as well, so you can get a little bit of the Latin flavor. And we can dance. And a piña colada.
I almost was ready to say, then I said, this is incorrect. I was going to say, we're going to have salsa and chips, but I'm like, Venezuela doesn't do salsa and chips.
No. We do arepas. Arepas.
Oh, okay.
Arepas.
Yeah, I like
about that.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying that they like my jacket. Thank you. It's an old one. I said, I want to be colorful because I want to be like Adrianna. I want to bring all the color.
Bring it in, because we said we were going to add some flavor. She said that she's going to add the flavor, and I said that I was going to add the crown. So,
I'll bring the sugar, and you bring the rest.
Oh, I love that. No, this was awesome. Vanessa, again, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, sharing, and everything else. Because, it's not really about me necessarily, and it's not really about Mind the Crown. Now, Mind the Crown, yes, check us out. But it really is, like I said, with Share the Mic Minnesota, one of the things I said, their vision and their mission is like the reason why I started my company. And so it really is, if I can make somebody's path a little better, if I can educate someone, that's really what I'm here for, because that basically is minding the crown. So you minded my crown. So thank you.
And you know what? I'm going to start texting you every day. Did you open your podcast? Did you open your podcast? Because I'm going to be the first one to sign up for your podcast, and I'm going to be promoting your podcast because you are delightful to listen to.
Well, thank you. Yeah, because you know, we just are learning how to do the TikTok videos.
Well, that I know.
We've had some special TikTok videos. People will say we try to come up with something new every week.
That's awesome. Adrianna, thank you so much.
Thank you
for accepting be part of my Instagram, and I love you already.
Me too. This was awesome. So we can officially say we dropped the mic.
We dropped the mic, and this live will be in a little bit on my feed for you guys to rewatch, to share, and to learn about this wise woman that is now my friend.
Thank you guys for joining. That was awesome. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, sweetie. Bye bye.